Hi everyone, it's Elizabeth. Thank you so much for stopping by. If you're new to my channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Happy New Year, everyone. I am hoping that 2021 is better in every conceivable way. So here's fingers crossed for that. It is Friday, so it's time for another Friday flip. And this is the final video in a series within that series in which I'm going over the journals that I've used in 2020 and which ones will be carrying over into the new year. As always, there's a link to the Friday Flip playlist up above and down below. So let's first talk about these two. These are two journals or notebooks that I use for work. I don't believe I've ever showed them on my channel because I can't really show anything in here. It's all work, so it's private stuff, but I figured you could at least take a look at the two journals that I am using. The first one is a leather folio, and it's by Levenger. And I have one in black as well as this brown leather. It's beautiful. I love the inserts in here. It's replaceable, so that's what the paper looks like. It's got this nice slight decoration and a line on the bottom, and it's this cream colored unlined paper, which is fantastic. My only problem is Levenger has stopped carrying inserts in this size, and it's not a standard size. One of my pet peeves, so I'm going to have to figure out what I do about that, because this particular journal is almost full, and this is the one I use when I am meeting with people. So it's more professional looking, so it's the one I take with me when I'm actually meeting with people and taking notes for meetings and things like that. So the other one I'm using this year is this CVS 5 subject notebook. It's 9.5 by 6 inches. It's got 200 pages, and again, I think I picked it up for a couple of dollars. Now, 2020 has, as we all know, has been kind of one of those stay-at-home crazy years. So I have been attending a lot of meetings and virtual Zoom meetings and webinars and things like that. And so when I do that, instead of using this notebook, which this is the one I would take when I meet with anybody, if a few of those happen this year, this is the one I use when I'm at home. It never leaves the house. It's just not professional looking, right? So it stays at home. But it's got really inexpensive lined paper. It's ring bound. There's nothing special about it. And this is the one that I use when I'm taking notes. So again, these are the two journals that I have used for a work environment this year. This one stays home. This one is the more professional looking one that I take with me outside. They will both come with me into the new year. I just have to figure out what happens with the insert here. And if it doesn't work, I'm going to have to figure out something else for, the nicer looking journal. The other two that I have that will both be going with me into 2021. The first one is the Standard by Nanami paper. It's the A5 and it's a Tomoe River paper book. I think it's got 450 pages. It's fantastic. So this I use as my Commonplace book, and it's where I write down quotes from books I'm reading. And there's a link or there is a YouTube channel. There is a YouTube video on my channel for a flip of the first part or the filled pages of this journal, and I'll put a link down below as well as up in the cards, and I'll be flipping through this one as I fill it up some more. So the last one, and this is the one that I'm going to spend the most time talking about today, is this journal. So let me just move some of this out of the way. So this is the Traveler's Factory Station from Tokyo Station. It's got the all aboard, get on the Traveler's train with a Traveler's Factory Tokyo Station charm on it. It is the Traveler's Notebook from the original, the actual one from the company. And what I have in here are 3 inserts. On the middle string, I have what is the Traveler's Factory Weeks inserts. So let me show you what those look like. They basically have a week on one page like this, and then a blank sheet of paper. Okay, and it goes, each one of these come in 2 inserts for the year. One goes from January through June, and the other one is the second half of the year. So what I'm going to be doing, and this is the pencil board that I keep in here, and I know you've seen this on my channel before. So this is the one that I use for memory keeping. So I've already taken out, and I did that this morning, is I took out the one that I was using here from July to December of 2020. I use this for memory keeping, so there's all kinds of stuff that I put in here. Now, usually, every couple of weeks or so, I print out photos and I tip them into this. You can look at my channel and see a completed weeks, for example, from I think it's either the first half of 2019 that you can take a look and see a completed flip. So what I do with this journal is essentially I keep track of something that happened every day and then some information about the week, whether it's things I've read, things I've watched, things in the news. Now you can see this one isn't really decorated and there's no tip-ins. 2020 was, I just was not in the mood for the tip-in piece. And really the only decorations I have in here that I put in at the time were for Halloween, just because I was using up a sticker sheet. So I will be printing photos and adding them to here, putting a cover on this, as well as doing some more washi decoration. And there'll be a flip of that when I complete it. But in the meantime, I have replaced that with the New Year's first half, and they come in these two colors. The lighter color is the first half of the year, the darker color is the second half of the year. Okay, so that's what's on the middle string. On the piggyback string in the front, I basically have some scrapbook paper that's basically cut to this size, and I took a bunch of graph paper, folded it in half, and have created something that I'm using more along my Bujo style. So what I do with this is I basically have a month at a time, and you can see I've separated them out here so you can take a look at it. And let me just show you January, and then I'll show you how I actually use it. So this is basically set up for the first month. I don't change the book out for the new year. I just go until this particular insert is done. It's not even stapled together. It's just attached by that elastic. And what I'll do is when it's complete, which will be at the end of January, I'll take it out, staple it, throw it in with my journal stash, and then add some new insert or new paper in there. So the way it's set up looks like this for every single month. I basically have a habit tracker. It's a generic one I picked up online. There's hundreds of thousands of these online. I just wanted a basic one. It basically tracks the things that I'm going to be paying attention to. I kind of write out the days of the week. My one little word for this year is brave. For last year was ask. So that's something I keep here. So I'm looking at it every day. And then so on this page, the right-hand page has got my habit tracker. On my left-hand page has got some quotes that I want to pay attention to this month. And you can see that looks the same for the last several months, right? So this starts in September. So that's September, October, November, and December are all in here. So what they look like when you go on the inside, and this blue paperclip shows me where I am, because typically what happens is the blue paperclip goes to the right page for the week I'm in, and the rest of these are kind of stapled, are attached together with one paperclip. I just separated them out so you can see each month at a glance. Okay, so what they look like on the inside is the same. I basically have on the left-hand page a brain dump, and on the right-hand page I have the week, and then 3 to 5 goals that I'm looking to accomplish that week, and then everything else is freestyle. Okay, so I've set up the month. You can see I start on the 4th of January because 1 through 3 happened in the previous week, and it's here in the last week of December. Okay, because I in this particular format care about the actual week, which for me runs from Monday through Sunday, and so I keep the weeks together. So all you can see from a setup point of view, no decorations, brain dump and the week, brain dump and the week, and then here's the 31st of January. That's the end of this insert. I will be taking this out and replacing it with a new one. Okay, so they all look exactly like this. Now, what do I do on the brain dump side of the house? So when I am doing my morning pages particularly, there's often things that come to mind that I have to pay attention to. I have to remember to do something. I have to remember to move something. I have to remember to take a note or email or call, whatever that is. I dump them on the brain dump piece of the side of the paper. So let me show you an example here. So unfortunately, because I have work things here, there's not a heck of a lot of flipping I can do, but let me just show you what the edges look like so you can see. Okay. Let's see if I can get this to actually fan out. All right. So I'm hoping that shows up on camera. So what you can see here is I have my dots and I basically write down whatever it is. I don't worry about whether it's an action item, whether it's a note, whether it's a reminder, whether it's going to be done this week, next week, don't care. All I'm doing at the time that I'm keeping this or writing it down is just jotting it so I don't forget it. It typically happens when I'm doing my morning pages, but it also sometimes happens during the day. I'll be doing something, or I'll be in a phone call or whatever. I come to this page, which is always open on my desk. I put a dot and I just write whatever the thing is down. Then during that week, or whenever it makes sense, I go through, and if there's a check mark, that means it got done. Okay? If there's an arrow, it means it got transferred. And so if the transfer could have happened into the following week as an action item, it could have moved into Evernote, because that's where I keep all my to-dos, or it could have moved into Todoist, which is where I keep all my to-dos, or into Evernote, which is where I keep all my collections and things like that. So you can see that for every single one of these months, I've got these things. And what you'll notice is at the bottom of the page, when I know a page has been processed completely, I don't have to worry about it, I go ahead and put a little check mark, right? So there's a check that tells me everything on that page has been processed in some way, form, shape, or other. I don't have to worry about it anymore, and I can turn the page to the next one. So that's what, for example, it looked like for December. I'll show you the same thing here for the following month, the month before that, same thing, okay? So I can see very quickly at a glance how much of that either got done, got transferred, or if I missed something, it's just right there. Sometimes you'll see that there is a highlighted item, and that means that I want to take care of that now. So whether I'm doing something or moving it somewhere, I just need to take care of it that day. So that's kind of how I manage priorities on this, okay? So that's what this is. Now, people have asked me, how do you do things like forward planning and things like that? And what I do is all of my planning, except for what I'm showing you here, happens electronically. So I might do planning on my morning pages or in these pages here when I'm going through and figuring out, okay, I need to figure something out. I might take some notes here about a schedule I have to pay attention to. But I basically do, at some point, everything gets transferred electronically, because then I don't have to worry about having access to this paper. Anything to do with a calendar event, whether it's a meeting, an appointment, or a task that has a date connected to it, ends up going into my calendar. And I use Google Calendars for that. It syncs across all my devices, so I don't have to worry about, did I lose it? If I write it on paper, so that's the one thing that will happen. If it's a calendar event, it goes directly into Google Calendars, because if I forget and put it on some piece of paper, I will never find it again. So for example, at my last dentist appointment, they said, okay, the next appointment is in June, this date, this time. I come home, I take out that piece of paper. Part of my planning is I go ahead and put that directly into the calendar, throw the paper away or recycle it, and then I don't worry about it, because when it's due, it comes up at the appropriate time. All right. In terms of the actual to-dos, when I've checked them off here, or you can see there's a lot of kind of arrows, which means they've been forwarded somewhere. I basically put my action items into Todoist, which is you can get the free version, which is what I use. There's a premium version. I don't need it. So I use the free version to basically manage my tasks. I can manage them by project. I can manage them by due date. I can manage them by priority. And again, it's on all my devices, because it syncs up to all of them. So if I'm out and on the road or whatever, I need to figure out, oh, what am I buying from here? I have it basically on my phone. I don't have to carry, a whole bunch of paper with me. Okay. And then what I use Evernote for is collections. If there are things that I want to keep track of. So for example, the best books of 2021 is a perfect, or 2020, right? Or I'm keeping track of measurements of things or things like that. They all end up in collections. So what, from a Bujo point of view, that shows up as collections, I have found that I move through notebooks too quickly, and then I'm always looking back at a previous notebook to find something. Anything like that gets either I take a photo and put it up into Evernote, or I scan it, or I retype it, whatever. Evernote, again, is I use the free version of it, syncs into all my devices, and so then I've got access to that piece of information if I need it as well. Okay, so that's how the Bujo system works for me. It's kind of a hybrid, if you will, but that's essentially what this particular insert is on that string. And on the back string is something that you've seen before in this notebook. I have a DIY file folder that I've made that just basically holds a bunch of stuff. And then in here is another DIY insert that I made that I keep track of notes. So there's oftentimes I'm watching a video of something and instead of having a notebook, I don't always have my notebooks handy in front of me to kind of keep track of these notes. I go ahead and just write them down. I find that when I write something down, it cements it in my brain in a way that is different than if I'm just listening to someone tell me or talk about something. Some of this might end up getting transferred over into my Commonplace notebook. For example, if it has to do with books or things that I might want to look at again, it might end up there. Or if it's something else, like I might want to reference more often and from different places, I will go ahead and basically take a photo of it and post it into Evernote or transcribe it into Evernote. That way I have access to it as well. So that's the other thing that I have here is this blank notebook that I go ahead and keep notes. So that's what's in this TN. Now, if you take a look, all of these are coming with me into 2021 with the exception of this one, because other than going ahead and adding more decorations and photos, which I'll show you a flip when it's done, that's already done. So these are the ones coming in with me. These two, chances are you're not going to see again. Again, like I said, I can't really show anything there. So that's what I have. If you take a look, I'll leave links to the first two videos in this series within the series, so you can see the other journals that I'm taking with me into 2021. I'd love to know what you used and what worked for you in 2020 and what you'll be doing in 2021. So if you have any links, please leave them for me down below. If you have any questions or comments, let me know. I look forward to chatting with you. And again, Happy New Year, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.